All right, welcome back. This is section 6 of chapter 14. We're going to do our visual discovery activity here and talk about a couple of things. We're going to be looking at another primary source in the form of a political cartoon. This section has to do with Jackson and the Battle of the Bank of the United States. So we got Jackson battles the Bank of the United States. Let's look at it and see what we think, get some perspective here. So as always, we start by simply taking a look at our political cartoon. And really all we got to do is take a look at this and figure out what we see going on here. So that's what we need to do. So let's stop and look at this and see what details we can find. All right, so some of the things that I'm seeing here is we've got this huge multi-headed snake-type monster with human heads on it, okay? I wonder if they represent anything. We see a guy here, he's got a top hat. That might tell us the class of people we're talking about. We've got a couple other different figures here that may be fighting against it. They might be trying to battle against this. I don't know. We see a guy, maybe this is Andrew Jackson. I don't know. That's the guy we're talking about, but these are the things that I'm seeing. He's got something in his hand. See a guy over here, he's dressed in, looks like military uniform, and he's got an axe that's dropping. So we got another guy right here in the middle. He's not a monster. Looks like he's maybe trying to help. Okay, so those are some of the details that I saw. Think about what you saw, and we move on. Oh, we see Andrew Jackson. He's the guy here on the left. What is he doing? I suppose if I had to take a guess here, it looks like he's trying to fight this thing. So he's trying to defend himself or defend somebody against this multi-headed monster. So now we got to think about what might the monster symbolize. So what is this a symbol of? Because, you know, we know this isn't real. So what might this symbolize? And that's what we have to think about. So when I look at it, I'm seeing, again, the guy with the top hat. Usually that reminds me of kind of the rich upper class. From what I know from just the beginning, Andrew Jackson in the Battle of the Bank. So maybe this monster symbolizes the Bank of the United States. Just putting it out there. All right. So now, this is where your responsibility comes in. In your interactive student notebook for Chapter 14, we're going to focus in on Section 6. So what you need to do now is you need to push pause, and you need to read through Section 6 and complete the reading notes for this section. So take a quick look at what we've got over here. You're going to, again, add dialogue to the speech bubbles to reflect how the common people and the upper class might have felt about Andrew Jackson's battle with the Bank of the United States. We've got over here the common people, dude with a sweet mustache and his bowler hat, representative of the common person. And then you've got the clean-shaven, top hat, fancy clothes wearing upper class here on the right-hand side. So fill in their perspectives, their point of view on Andrew Jackson's battle with the Bank of the United States. How might they have felt about it? Look at the arguments for and against the Battle of the Bank that Andrew Jackson had and fill in the speech bubbles accordingly. The second piece here goes back to our essential question. Do you think Jackson's dismantling of the bank promoted democracy, and be able to explain why or why not? So hit pause, read your section, then come back and we'll review what some information that'll be helpful for us here in ours, and you can check your answers. All right, welcome back. Let's take a look. How did you do? Hopefully you read the information, and now let's double check to see if you're on the right path or not. Remember, this doesn't have to be word for word, but look at the perspective. Does the information you gathered fit the same context of what we're talking about here? So what did the common people think about Andrew Jackson's Battle of the Bank? Well, quite frankly, They believe President Jackson's dismantling of the bank shows he is a champion of the people. The bank is an unconstitutional monopoly that makes the rich richer at the expense of farmers and workers. So we got to remember, Andrew Jackson didn't like the national bank because he thought it favored the rich and those that lived in the East versus farmers and capitalists in the Western frontier. So common people were like, bank is bad, okay? Upper class, what did they think about this? Well, the bank is important to our economy. It supports business people who depend on it for loans. Jackson has overstepped his authority by dismantling the bank and putting federal deposits in his pet banks. Okay, so they're thinking that what Andrew Jackson's trying to do here with the bank is not okay. The bank was deemed constitutional by the Supreme Court, and the upper class supported that decision. However, Andrew Jackson did not. And what ends up happening is we see the guy Henry Clay, who is in support of the National Bank and going against Andrew Jackson. We see that they believe that if he takes the deposits out of the bank, it's going to hurt the economy. So we have to take a look, and you have to decide which side of this do you fall on. Do you think that the common people are right and you agree with Andrew Jackson and that the money should be spread out to some of these state banks, or do you agree with the upper class and see that this might not be the best for the economy because these business people in these established areas in the East need it to keep their businesses up and running? So those are some things that you need to think about here. Remember, does this promote democracy or not? You look at it, some would say yes, it promotes economic democracy. Others might say no, it doesn't, because Andrew Jackson, again, does not agree, or what should I say? He doesn't use the checks and balances system here to allow the Supreme Court to help make this decision on its constitutionality. So, got a couple things here to determine. Do you think that the dismantling of the Bank of the United States was promoting democracy? Why or why not? There's your question. Keep thinking about it. Let's take a look at this cartoon again. So who is the man in the top hat in the center? After reading section 6, I would have to say it's probably Nicholas Biddle, the guy who was in charge of the National Bank. Maybe Henry Clay, a guy who supported the National Bank and tried to push its recharter earlier in order to further his political career. So those are a couple possibilities. So who do the 24 heads represent? Supporters of the bank, maybe? I mean, there's pretty ugly faces on there, but nonetheless, I would say these are probably some supporters of the bank. And yeah, they're all attached to this monster, so it might be that. I don't see why Andrew Jackson would want to fight against his pet banks or state banks. So what do we think? What dangers does the cartoonist think the monster will bring? Interesting. Maybe it'll bring economic disaster. Maybe it will get too powerful to be able to be overthrown or dismantled. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to face a 25-headed monster. Holy smokes. All right, next question. So now, from the perspective of the cartoonist, will dismantling the bank promote democracy? Why or why not? What do we think here? Will it promote democracy? I don't know. You got to look at it from the two perspectives, right? Spreading the money around to areas that don't necessarily have access to it. That seems democratic. Going over the head of the Supreme Court in its decision. I don't know if that seems democratic or not. That might be an argument otherwise. So it's something that you got to think about. Use evidence from Section 6 to help you answer this question. And I think whatever you decide, as long as you've got evidence, It's up to you. The beauty of history. All right. Do you agree with the cartoonist? Do you think that this is an accurate portrayal of what's going on uh, with the national bank? Give your answer, why or why not. This is your personalized view. Again, use evidence to support your answer, and that makes your argument stronger. So remember, make sure you're reading it. Make sure you got your notes filled out. Make sure you're asking questions because that's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. So I leave you with Andrew Jackson and the Battle of the National Bank. Go back again, ask questions, do what you need to do to be successful, and you will be. All right, until next time, see you later.